TxStampin Sharon. Today I'm going to be sharing a very sweet little card with you, and I'm also going to give you some tips on embossing folders. There's some changes and people have some questions, so I'm going to try to incorporate that information into a couple of my videos to help you guys as you're using your embossing folders. If you've not already subscribed to my channel, you can do so below. After you subscribe, you can hit the notification bell. Upload videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. It would be my honor if I could ever help you with your Stampin' Up! Supply needs. Here's the card that we're going to be making today. And super sweet, super simple. But as I was playing with the embossing folders, I decided this would be a great time to give you some lessons on the changes that have happened with embossing folders with Stampin' Up. So as you look at embossing folders on pages 198 and 199, either online or in the catalog, those that are dark red are what they call 3D. The white ones are just regular folders. The one we're using today is just a regular folder. You would sandwich it between two plates on your platform, run it through your machine, okay? Now, we have sold dynamic folders. Dynamic folders, if you recall, you only, and it's a very thick, you know, and if you compare them, you'll see very thick folder. The dynamic folder you would run through with just one plate, not two, okay? Put your cardstock inside, run it through with one plate. So now these 3D ones are totally different. I'm trying to hold these up so you can see them. Even though the 3D and the dynamic are very close, the 3D is thinner than the dynamic, but thicker than the regular. Okay, so if you have started placing orders from the new catalog and you have started getting these 3D embossing folders, you might have some struggles getting it to emboss in your machine. Stampin' Up! Has released a 3D embossing plate. Now, it's clear, it's blue, so it's going to stand out different than your other plates. This is just for embossing. Don't cut with this, please. I would even put a label. I think I will put a label on mine. Embossing only, okay? It is thicker than the clear cutting plates, and you would need to, with the 3Ds, with all these that are in red, you would put your paper inside and you would run it through with just one plate, okay? You're not gonna use two. You're just using one plate, this one. Now, there's different ways that you can sandwich. If you don't want to spend the $10, you could try to waste a bunch of cardstock. You would probably have to stack 6 or 7 pieces of cardstock, half sheet, this size, to equal that depth, all right? I just decided to bite the bullet and go ahead and get this because I was struggling and I decided that I needed to help educate you guys if you were struggling. So the supplies I'm using today is, I don't know, I've been playing with this gallery grunge. I made a video, I don't know, a week or so ago, and I love it, so I pulled it back out again. And then I'm pulling out Butterfly Gala with the coordinating punch, using Early Espresso, Black Memento, and the Petal Pink Stampin' Blend, and this is the darker one, okay? I did pull out the layering ovals for this card, and I didn't use any of these that are the, you know, more detailed. I just stuck to these. Let me show you my card again. Okay, so we have 3 layers. Not quite sure if I mentioned, but we're using Memento ink for our butterflies. And we're going to stamp the bodies, really holding that ink there for a bit to let it all get into the cardstock. And then we have these itty bitty tiny bodies. All right, so this little body is for this butterfly. I highly recommend that, like, when you take this off the block, you take it to the sink and you wash it. It's so tiny that it doesn't want to stick back in the case on the sheet sometimes. And I'm telling you, I bet I have looked for this thing at least 3 or 4 times because it's so little. So I have started, I clean it on my Stampin' scrub, I take it off, I wash my hands because they're usually dirty anyway, and then I'm able to dry that and put it back on. Same with this one. This is the bigger body. I haven't lost it as many times, but it's just, they're so little, such tiny little stamps. All right, so now we're gonna color. And these are so small, there's no real reason to do any blends, like using the darker or the light. It's pretty tiny. You could if you wanted to get creative, but I'm happy with it just like this. You always want to use Memento ink when you're using the Stampin' blends, if you're using black. Now, there is such a thing as I could have stamped these in Petal Pink and colored with Petal Pink. It does work. So I have all my layers cut, I have all my ovals cut, and I have a piece of the strapped organdy ribbon. And like I said, I'm using Early Espresso ink. This will be from my front. Let me just walk you through. So the Whisper White layer is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And then my Early Espresso is 4 inches by 5 1/4. My crumb cake card base is 4 1/4 by 11, scored and folded at 5 1/2. And if you've watched any of my videos, you know I always have the directions, the measurements, and the supplies in the description box below. I do have a layer for the inside, just because I think crumb cake is a little too dark to write on. This is 4 inches by 5 1/4. So let's see, I think I did it this way. Spin it around. I think this step gives it just a little subtle background without being too much. And you know what, I just realized. We're gonna stamp on the inside layer, just to tie it into the front. We're going to continue stamping. I have cut out a Whisper White oval, and I want it to say, "Hello, beautiful." We're going to add our Early Espresso layer to our crumb cake base. And if you get these two confused, you'll know one's going to fit, one's too big. Now for the ribbon, you know, just trying to give it a little softness there. I don't even know if you can see the ribbon on the video, but it's there. You see me cutting. And I'm just going to add some snail to hold that in place. It's just kind of a temporary hold until I get my layers on. Anytime I'm adding layers to or anything to an embossed layer, I like to use the liquid glue. And then we have some glue dots with this teeny tiny butterfly. Yes, when I mail this, it's gonna flatten, but I like playing with the wings. Gives me something to do. We're gonna add this on with some dimensionals. We're going to add our layer on the inside. And there you have it. I sure hope my little mini lesson on the embossing folders helped you. And I hope you love this card. Happy stamping, y'all!